Hey everyone, welcome back to 2 Leads Review. I'm Caleb.
I'm Hannah, and we just finished watching episode 4, The Last of the Starks is what I think it's called. It's kind of hard to find the title.
Yeah, that's kind of long in the last one. Battle of Winterfell, but it was a long night.
Yeah, it should have just been called the Battle of Winterfell. But, yeah, so we just got finished watching that. It was actually kind of a long episode for... It was, for just, story development. I mean, there was a few things, but it was more story driven, which usually when that happens, the episode's shorter. But this one was still kind of a long one. We did lose 2 more tonight. Rhaegal and Missandei, both which I'm sad are gone because obviously I like all the dragons.
I don't like dragons. Why are you watching this show?
And obviously Missandei because, she's kind of been Daenerys has been losing a lot of people that have been with her from roughly the beginning. Missandei didn't come in until season 3, but
But she's been a close advisor
and friend since then. So to see her head get chopped off by the mountain, and poor Grey Worm, to witness that as well, and was just I fear that Grey Worm is going to do something stupid, and he's going to also be dead.
Well, I feel like Daenerys is also going to do something stupid.
Well, yeah. Yes. I think, I don't know that I would necessarily say stupid, but I definitely think she's going to be doing something now strictly out of revenge for her killing Missandei and, one of her dragons. We got to start the episode with they have to say they picked up all those dead bodies rather quickly.
We don't know how long it's been.
I know,
it could have been 3 days after. We don't know.
But, yeah, so they had their little funeral.
There was a lot of stacks. I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah.
That fire was huge.
We got to see... they all kind of had, one major person that they were kind of, lighting on fire that they were, kind of sad to see. You saw Daenerys and Jorah. Sam and Ed, because if it wasn't for Sam... Edward probably might still be alive. Arya and Beric. Sansa seemed the only one that seemed to be mourning Theon.
Right. Somebody should, and I was like, she should be the only one because Jon probably doesn't feel happy about it. I doubt he's I can't believe he's gone. He's probably
and then Jon for Lyanna because she was the one that started.
He really needed to like somebody.
Well, yeah, and there was really nobody left. But she was the one that kind of got everybody to throw their support behind him as the King of the North. So, it kind of made sense.
Yeah.
We saw some interesting dynamics, I feel like, in this episode. Because once they were doing the celebrations, Daenerys didn't really, have anybody that she's,
She seemed to be having fun at first.
Until everybody started having fun with Jon.
Yeah.
And then she was
when Jon's throwing up isn't part of celebrating, and Tormund's yes it is, and then he was laughing, and Daenerys was laughing, everyone was having a good time until Mormont started, or not Mormont, what's his name? Tormund. Started saying oh, I can't believe he was riding a dragon, and
I know, she's
who does that? A king does that, and then she's
those are my dragons.
I was riding it first, and
I'm riding...
I'll ride the bigger one.
I know. She's yeah, these are my dragons, by the way, just so everybody knows.
So that's when she really started to get sour on the evening, is when Tormund was making such a big deal.
Well, and everybody was kind of gathering around him, being oh, and then she sees Tyrion with Jaime and Brienne and Pod, and then she's kind of oh, I'm definitely
why
the
wasn't
outsider
she hanging out
here.
with Missandra and
Missandei?
Whatever her name is. And Grey Worm.
Well, Grey Worm and Missandei were probably having some of their own time.
She's no, this is a party. You need to be by myself.
But then, they start planning about, going south, and then, Sansa. She's always just the plan's kind of set, and then Sansa's well, what about, we have to let our people rest, which, I get, but at the same time,
there's no time
no. You don't got time for that. And I was kind of surprised that...
They rest on the way down. They're going to be riding horses and ships and stuff.
I know. I was kind of surprised that Daenerys and Jon were kind of friendly. A little too friendly for...
I know. I was they now know, so...
I know. I was no, I always thought it was icky, but now it's really...
Even even Tyrion later on was oh, if we could just get them married, all of our problems would be solved. And then he's but she's
she's Aunt. Is that socially acceptable?
He's Targaryens are fine. He's yes, but
the North aren't. But yeah, so, they were still kind of friendly, but then she was, and he even said that he didn't want the crown, but she's like, but you can't tell anybody who you are, which I kind of understand, because then if people know that he's the true heir, it's like, but people that are on the fence about her are going to be like, well, then we just want him to be the king. Like, screw that other
people who were rightful heirs of the throne have stepped down before. Like, what's his name, who was the maester at Castle Black? He was the rightful heir to the throne, but he didn't want that. Yeah, but he
took the black. John's not going to go and take the black. I mean, there is no black anymore. I don't think
Well,
so.
Yes, but I mean, like, in the past, people have stepped down and said, I don't want to be king.
Well, I know, but, like, she's
not wrong that people might still think that, but if Jon was like, no, I don't want to be king.
Yeah, but he didn't want to be king in the North either, and look what happened. So.
Well, I don't know if he ever said he didn't want to be king in the North.
Yeah, because he said that before, that he's like, I don't want the crown, and they're like, well, they gave it to you anyways, and so then he's just like, oh, so I feel like that might kind of be the thing, and I mean, and then, so he wasn't going to tell anybody, and then when he decided to, I was just like, don't do it, because Sansa's going to tell people because she wants Jon out of the North. Like, that's her whole motivation. She's not just like, oh, Jon would be a better ruler. Her problem is not only that Daenerys is going to be queen, is that then Jon would be the warden of the North, and she doesn't want that. Even if she wants the power of the North for herself. So that's why if she's like, oh, if we send Jon over there, I have the North. So, like, her telling Tyrion in that one moment was purely selfish and was just like, I want the North.
Assuming that Jon would name her warden of the warden.
I mean, but she's the true. She would be, like, the lady of the North.
To me, so
I mean,
I'm gonna name Arya. She's like,
well, Arya doesn't want it either.
No, and Bran doesn't want it. So
Bran's just like, I don't want anything these days. So that's Sansa's going to start. She'll tell anybody if she can get Jon out of the North. We did get a nice little moment, and I have to say it was true to Arya's character between her and Gendry. Once he was like, "Oh, you could be lady of."
I was like, I thought she was going to start laughing at him.
Well, and I was waiting for the line. I knew she was going to say it. I'm no lady, and I kept waiting, and then she said it, and I was like, there we are. Because she's been saying that since season 1 that she's no lady, so it makes sense for her to be like, even though there are people that really want them together. It makes sense, that he just wants to, like, settle down and...
Well, especially now that he's going to be, like,
the head of the Baratheon household.
If he was just Gendry, she might have, like,
If he was just like, let's run away and just, whatever, she might have been like, oh, okay, but she's like, I'm no lady. And I was like, ha, there it is.
I literally thought she was just going to start, like, laughing, like,
Yeah, and just be like,
Like that same kind of laugh when she found out that, Aunt Eliza. I thought she was just going to start laughing and be like, no.
Yeah.
But I was like, she broke into a easy.
But, so, I mean, he kind of although I will say him being like, oh, I love you, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, that escalated. Really.
I know.
I was like, okay. But, so, she's like, no. She was already hiding from everybody because she didn't want to be, like, celebrated for killing the Night King, even though Daenerys kind of gave her due. She's like out shooting arrows, which is kind of the beginning of her character at Winterfell, so it kind of made sense that that's the last thing she was doing there, was shooting arrows. And then we got to see her riding off into with the Hound into King's Landing, where she's probably headed to try to kill Cersei.
Yeah, well, let's get back to on a completely other topic. I'm really happy for Jaime. Finally, I'm like...
Like Jaime and Brienne?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I'm happy that they're together. Like, I kind of figured that they might be.
Yeah, like, even though Tormund wanted it. But, yeah, I'm okay with them together. I mean, obviously they're not together at the end. But it's interesting because, he keeps making that speech and she's like, you don't need to go and be with her. And I'm like, he's not going to be with her. He's going to kill her. And he just has to beat Arya there. So... I'm like, yeah, I mean, I feel like that was his mindset. Like, I did all this stuff for her, and, like, it's gotten him nothing. Like, so now I think he just wants to end it, especially since he knows that she's, like, now being on the offensive, killing poor Rhaegal, and, coming out and just killing more people. And so I think he's just like, oh, this has got to end. So, it'll be a race to Cersei between Daenerys, Arya, and Jaime. It'll be interesting to see who gets the final blow in. Maybe they all get a turn. To me, it's looking, so I mean, it was nice that him and Brienne had their moment, and hopefully Jaime survives, and, you know, they can reconnect.
Yeah, hopefully it's not like a suicide mission where to take her out, he has to take himself out too.
I know there were some people saying that when the mountain, you know, when Cersei went over with Missandei, that she should have just grabbed Cersei and jumped. Like, Missandei knew she was dying, so it's like, well, you might as well take you with me. She's just like, hi, let's go.
She's like, for the throne!
Right? So it'll be interesting to see, you know, who gets that final blow in. There was something else that I wanted to talk about in the episode, and I forgot. Because I was going there, and then you took me off track.
Oh, sorry. You're talking about who was gonna...
I know, I was talking about the Hound and Arya.
And then the race.
But yeah, the Hound is going for the mountain, because he
Yeah.
said he had unfinished business. So we're
Clegane
finally
Bowl.
we're finally gonna get Clegane Bowl, maybe, hopefully. So it looks, from what we've heard, because Emilia Clarke did an interview and said that episode 5 is just like
Although I'm feeling like it's not... Episode 5 is going to end on some type of cliffhanger. I feel like it's not... Obviously, I don't feel like it's going to be resolved until episode 6, because they still have a whole episode left. So I feel like it's going to bleed. It's not going to be like past episodes. Yeah. It's not going to be like, you know, the Battle of the Bastards or the Battle of Winterfell or any of these past things where, you know, it had a start and an end all within the episode, because of, like, they still have one full episode left. So I was like, I feel like it's going to carry over into episode 6, and it's not, you know, I feel like it's going to resolve somewhat early in episode 6, because I feel like they have a lot of loose ends to tie up on the whole series. I mean, this is going to be the series finale, so like they have a lot to do after, you know, whoever gets crowned, whoever comes out on top.
If there is a crown.
Whatever happens, like they're going to have a lot of loose ends to tie up before they can let us go, because otherwise if it's like right at the very end and then it's just like, oh, you know, Cersei's dead, and now even if it's like, oh, Daenerys is crowned queen and like they put the crown on her head and that's it, I'll be like, that's not enough. Like there's so many characters and so many resolutions that we still need.
Well, and I feel like the final shot should be them doing the ceremony for whoever ends up on the throne. And then it's just like they sit down with the crown on the Iron Throne, and then it's like
it
cut
could
to
be
black.
the king, and then it's
No, let's not do that. To me, it's looking more and more like it won't be Daenerys, which, you know,
I don't feel like it will be.
But at the same time, I'm wondering if they're doing that on purpose to kind of like throw you off, or you think like, oh, like Daenerys is definitely not going to end up on the throne, and then they're like, surprise, yes, she does. So it'll be interesting.
He is the type of writer to do the unexpected, so it might not even be Jon or Daenerys. It could be.
I mean, honestly, I feel like either one
Tyrion,
of them.
It could be
Jaime. He's like, I killed you, and now I take your.
Like, I've killed more kings and queens than anybody.
I know, right?
I get to sit on the throne this time.
But so yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Bran.
Oh my gosh, he's just like, I saw it.
I mean, I feel like he'd be at least fair, maybe, because he doesn't really want anything. So he wouldn't
know.
let the power go to his head, because he just like.
But all like the court things would take forever, because he would just be like,
I'm out. And then, like,
he's like, let me see.
Well, he'd always be able to know when people are lying to him, though.
I know. He's like, on this date, back in blah, blah, blah.
They'd be like,
you did this.
Oh, you know, this happened, so we weren't able to do this. And he'd be like, you lied.
I know.
Get up.
He'd be a good advisor to whoever was on the throne.
I mean,
he just was like sitting there and being like, no.
No, I wouldn't trust this guy. Nope, get him out.
He just said before he came in here that he was planning to murder you. So,
we're like, what?
So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm very excited for next week because, like, you know, I said earlier at the interview with Emilia Clarke, she said this is like a massive episode.
A battle that we can actually see.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, it might be in the daylight for once. That'd be nice.
They're like, we're gonna take one from the White Walkers. We're gonna attack at night.
Although the creators, you know, they were doing a Q&A and they were asked, "Is that the last we've seen of the White Walkers?" And they just said, like, possibly.
And so I feel like that's the thing.
You know, but it'd be interesting if all of a sudden, like, there was something, like, I don't know. Because I would like to know a little bit more about the Night King. We didn't really get to know much about him.
The Night King wasn't the real original one, and there's actually a huge army still in the north with the real.
Still like he's just the fake. He's just like the person they put out there to be like, he's the king. And then the other one's like, he killed
He turned all those ones that went to the war so that way it looks like the other one. Some of them were actually faking. Some of them just fell to the ground. They're like...
They're like, are we done? Did they believe us? But so yeah, we'll see. It'll be, yeah. I mean, looking forward to next week. Let us know what you guys thought in the comments. Are you sad to see these two go? But yeah, let us know. Are you looking forward to next week? Because it looks like it's going to be big. Like, subscribe. Thank you for watching.